The city lights of San Diego were a blinding, seductive halo on the horizon, promising noise, crowds, and the temporary chaotic relief of Fleet Week. For every sailor on the USS Roanoke, those lights meant a stampede for liberty. 5 days of freedom, bad decisions, and forgetting the last 6 months at sea. But not for Lieutenant Commander Alastair Rook Jensen. As his ship dropped anchor, and the cheers of his shipmates erupted below deck, Rook felt a familiar, chilling dread creep into his chest. Rook didn't join the Navy for the shore leave. He joined to escape the shore. There was a shadow following Rook, a specific, gnawing anxiety that Fleet Week always magnified. It wasn't the ocean that held the threat. It was the land. And specifically, a landlocked past that threatened to reclaim him the moment his feet touched concrete. Rook had meticulously cultivated his life aboard the Roanoke. The rigid schedule, the predictable rhythm of the waves, the cold, comforting logic of the navigation charts. These were his walls. The moment the ship docked, those walls dissolved. He pulled his sea bag out of his locker, not to pack his whites, but to pull out a worn, leather-bound journal, the one item he kept hidden even from his closest friends. It contained not records of patrols or coordinates, but a single, recurring sketch. A lighthouse in a storm, its beam fractured and weak. His commanding officer, Captain Hayes, found Rook in the navigation room, staring at the lights of Coronado. "Jensen, you're not dressed. Fleet Liberty starts in an hour. Your family is expecting you." Rook turned, his face calm, almost unnervingly so. "Permission to remain aboard, Captain. I need to run the deep-sea sonar logs manually through the decommissioned port system. A maintenance issue." Captain Hayes paused, skepticism tightening his face. Rook was the best sensor operator on the ship, but maintenance? "That system hasn't been used in 3 years. You're giving up Fleet Week to watch dust gather?" Rook met his gaze, his intensity unblinking. "It's a matter of ensuring the integrity of our primary sensor history, sir. Something I promised myself I'd finish before the next deployment. It's personal." The captain frowned, but the quiet determination in Rook's eyes held no malice, only a deep, weary resolve. He saw not a rebellious sailor, but a man seeking sanctuary. "Very well, Commander, you have the deck, but this ship is a ghost town. Don't go wandering." As the last ferry pulled away, carrying the shouts and laughter of his departing crew, Rook walked to the bridge. The silence of the abandoned ship was vast, thick, and precisely what he needed. The lights of the city now seemed far away, their siren song muffled by the thick steel hull. Rook didn't go to the dusty sonar room. He went to the stern, watching the faint, oily reflection of the moon on the gentle swell. The real suspense wasn't in the city's chaos. It was in the profound, frightening emptiness of the next 5 days, where the sea was his only witness to the truth he was trying to outrun. He was alone with the secrets he had brought back from the land. Alone on the abandoned ship, Rook finally allowed himself to breathe. He wasn't running maintenance, he was running from the inevitable confrontation Fleet Week represented. His parents, his ex-fiancée, the shadow of the career he'd abandoned. They were all waiting on shore, ready to ask the impossible questions. Why do you stay away? Why can't you settle down? Rook knew the answer, and it was tied to the lighthouse sketch in his journal. It represented a night, years ago, when he was in college, desperately trying to fix a relationship that was already broken. He had been rigid, controlling, and terrified of change. He realized that his constant striving for control on land was the source of his profound unhappiness. He wasn't broken by the events. He was broken by his refusal to let go. The sea, ironically, had taught him surrender. When you are caught in a storm, you don't fight the ocean. You ride the swell. You accept the chaos and focus only on the immediate necessary action. This acceptance of the moment was the only peace he had ever known. He spent the next 2 days not analyzing sonar, but analyzing silence. He moved through the deserted Roanoke, letting the ship's low mechanical hum become his meditation. He walked the wide, empty decks, feeling the faint, continuous sway, the subtle reminder that nothing, absolutely nothing, is ever truly still. This gentle, inescapable motion of the world was a comfort. On the third night, a thin, unexpected fog rolled in, swallowing the San Diego skyline entirely. The city lights disappeared, and the Roanoke became a small, isolated island, perfectly unmoored from the distracting chaos of the shore. Rook stood on the bow, feeling the moisture on his skin. He opened his journal to the lighthouse sketch, and for the first time he saw it clearly. The fractured light wasn't a warning. It was a reflection of his own broken perception. He had been so focused on finding stability, the lighthouse, that he ignored the power and grace of the ever-moving water, the storm. His whole life had been about trying to impose a rigid structure on a fluid reality, and the sea was his quiet master, teaching him that true safety lies not in rigidity, but in fluidity. He took the worn leather journal, the repository of his land-based fears and anxieties, and walked to the rail. He didn't burn it. He didn't tear it. He simply flipped to the page with the lighthouse sketch. Then he grabbed a piece of chalk he used for navigation markers and drew a simple, heavy circle around the entire image. Below it, he wrote only one word: anchor. He finally understood. His anchor wasn't the ship, the schedule, or the distance from his past. His anchor was the profound, quiet acceptance that life, like the ocean, is constantly in motion. He found his peace not in escaping the pain of his past, but in accepting that the pain, the joy, the chaos, and the calm were all just different faces of the same endless swell. He could return to the shore now, not because he had fixed his past, but because he had finally unmoored his future from the fear of it. The sea had not hidden him. It had simply quieted the world long enough for him to hear himself. The story of Commander Jensen reminds us that peace is not found in controlling the storms of life, but in accepting that we are part of the sea. If this journey to find inner peace resonated with you, like this video. Share this message of acceptance with someone who needs to let go, and subscribe to our channel for more stories of self-discovery and resilience.